From the famous corner of Clark and Addison here on the north side of Chicago, we're set for Cubs baseball. On WGN Sports tonight, the Cubs go for the 3-game series sweep against the Reds. And welcome to Cubs baseball. Jim Deshaies, Len Casper with you here. 11 games to go. Cubs need to go 4-7 to get to the 100 win mark. And it's all about the postseason. We know that, JD. But let's take a step back and realize how rare and special a season this has been.
Yeah, because funky things can happen in the postseason, and this team has been dominant, pretty much going wire to wire, playing better than 700 baseball here at home. Their pitching has been outstanding. They lead the major leagues in ERA. They're second in the NL in runs scored, plus 232 run differential, best since 1935, 95 plus wins in back-to-back seasons, and on and on and on we go.
So the Cubs tonight again go for a sweep over the Reds, and they'll turn the ball over to veteran right-hander John Lackey. It'll be Robert Stevenson for the Reds. Reds and Cubs next. Not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. Honda. Great deals are waiting for you now at your local Honda dealer. State Farm. There for you when things go wrong, but also here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today at 800 State Farm. Mattress Firm, where we want you to sleep happy guaranteed. Remember, if it's over 8, it's time to replace. Your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Chicago Cubs baseball in high definition is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Let's get the Cincinnati Reds lineup written out by manager Brian Price. They're in last in the division, 33 games behind the first place Cubs. Jose Peraza has been red hot here in the second half. Eugenio Suarez at third. Joey Votto has the best batting average in baseball since the break. Duvall, the all-star. Brandon Phillips with a 10-game hitting streak. Scott Schebler getting a lot of time in the outfield after the trade of Jay Bruce and now Billy Hamilton injured. Steve Selski will play right. Tucker Barnhart the catcher and Robert Stevenson the pitcher.
Defense for the Cubs tonight looks like this: Coghlan, Fowler, Hayward, left, center, right. Infield of Bryant, Baez, Zobrist, and Rizzo. Miguel Montero is the catcher. And tonight's Cubs starter, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. The card to carry through it all is the veteran right-hander John Lackey. 9 up, 8 down, a 3.42 ERA. John has made 3 starts since returning from the disabled list. During that time, he's 0-1 with a 3.50. 1-2 with a high ERA against the Reds this year.
Now your umpires tonight. Bill Welke is the crew chief. Andy Fletcher's at first. Mike Estabrook at second. Ed Hickox is at third. A lot of changes in this series in terms of the umpires. Wind has died down. It was blowing in earlier. Got some rain earlier as well. But we seem to be in the clear.
Yeah, looks like another pretty night for baseball. It was blowing in pretty good earlier. Quite as gusty right now.
So it's Peraza, the rookie. And the first pitch strike from Lackey.
Lackey, 37 years of age, about a month shy of his 38th birthday. 6'6", 235. Kind of broad at the shoulder and narrow at the hip.
Comfortable 69 degrees. Ball served softly into right center for a base hit. Leadoff single for Peraza. North wind at 3, not much of a factor. Very slight chance of more rain. But all in all, a very nice evening. Off day tomorrow, and then the Cardinals come in on Friday. Final home series coming up in the regular season. Cardinals went into play today in a 3-way tie for the 2 wild card spots. They got drilled in Colorado 11-1 as Nolan Arenado hit his 39th homer for the Rockies. It's in the dirt to Suarez. Ball 1.
Kind of funky looking the way Lackey finished his delivery there. Yeah, they got drubbed, did the Cardinals. Mets have had a hard time beating Atlanta this year, but they're up on them early tonight.
We'll be all over the scores that matter. Inside on the Reds' third baseman.
Reds' third baseman has good numbers in his career against John Lackey. Suarez 8 out of 21. That's a .381 batting average. He's hit 1 home run against John. This is his 4th start against the Reds this year. I mentioned a high ERA, 6.38.
John trying to become the 4th Cubs starter to get to double digits in wins. Way in that time, 3-1.
Yeah, that's, it's obviously pretty important for John. It would be for any pitcher. Every year that he's been a healthy major leaguer, every full year he's had in the big leagues, he's had double-digit wins.
Pretty well out into deep left center, but it'll be caught by Fowler. Got a shot at Peraza, who is already around second. Throw to first. Gets away from Rizzo and bounces out of play. So Zobrist's relay throw results in an error on Ben, and that will send Peraza all the way to third. That's too bad. Could have been a double play.
Yeah. Base running mistake by Peraza, and it turns the gold for him.
I think Peraza got fooled by the wind. And it's blowing in not very hard, but it's not jumping like it was certainly Monday night.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I think the other thing too, here at Wrigley Field, and I think guys need to play here a lot to know this, JD. That ball was in the air a long time, and we talk often about a runner at first base early in an inning. If Fowler doesn't catch that ball, it's probably a home run, right? So I don't know what he really gains by
No, the play there is to go, 2/3 or almost all the way to second base and then read the play.
Votto fouls.
Tough assignment here for Lackey with Votto up there and a man on third base. Infield stays back. Cubs willing to concede a run here early on to prevent the big inning.
There you go.
Yeah.
He needs one more to get to 10.
And if he gets it, it will be his 175th major league win against 135 losses.
Votto 3 out of 7 with a walk and an RBI in the series, and yeah, you're going to see some gaudy numbers in just about every category. Really choking up on the bat here with 2 strikes. And he rolls one to Bryant. Big second out for Lackey. Chance to get out of it. I want to thank Joe Rios and the Chicago Cubs for providing a wonderful dinner tonight, and a big thanks to Giordano's. Some good eats for our WGN sports crew. Weather cooperated as well. Jim Lubojkiewicz. Joe Rios on the left.
It's a very high level meeting going on there.
One and 0 on Duvall. Fly ball pretty well hit, but it will be caught by Hayward, and the Reds do not score. Cubs coming up when we return. Starting lineup, and they hope to celebrate a few more times here over the next month plus. Fowler, Bryant, and Rizzo at the top. Chris Bryant with 9 home runs this year against Reds pitching. Zobrist, Hayward, and Baez occupy the middle of the order. Miguel Montero's been hot here as of late. Chris Coughlin's had a nice homestand. John Lackey, the pitcher, batting 9th.
And the Reds defensively, Duvall, Schebler, Selski in the outfield. Suarez, Peraza, Phillips, Votto. Infield, Tucker Barnhart's the catcher. Robert Stevenson, 23-year-old right-hander, one of their top pitching prospects, is toeing the slab here tonight.
27th overall pick in the 2011 draft, making his Wrigley debut.
Made a couple starts for them early in the year, then back to the minor leagues and recalled here in September. He's made 3 starts this month. Fastball curve change. Ouch.
It just hit Dexter Fowler.
Kind of a herky-jerky delivery. Does Stevenson. Fastball command has been a problem for him. Not just here, but if you look at his minor league numbers, pretty high walk totals. He's got good stuff. Looked like he was trying to throw a 2-seamer maybe to run back towards the inside corner and just overcooked it a little bit.
A delay here to make sure Fowler's all right. And here is Bryant. Had a big night last night. 3 out of 5, 2 doubles. And he needed it. He was grinding. A minute under 200 for the month. Check swing foul.
Yeah, and he, remember last year he came up just shy of 100 driven in, and he's in a similar position this year. He's got 97. He still has plenty of time, but you can imagine him pressing a little bit. And also has a chance to hit 40 home runs. It has been a unbelievable year for the second-year man. Rookie of the year one year, could very well be the MVP the next. That doesn't happen very often. Back.
He heard you.
Hey, we got Robert Stevenson pitching, and we have Brandon Hyde at first base.
Here's a 1-1. Fly ball foul out of play.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh yeah, very nice.
Robert Louis Stevenson is a V though, right? S-T-E-V.
I think it was, yeah, different spelling, but still works, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Steams that throw over there. Now, every time we talk about Stevenson the rest of the night, people are going to think there's some kind of a hidden link to the author.
As I said last night, he's hoping the mound here at Wrigley is his treasure island. As he strikes out Bryant.
That was a real good off-speed pitch.
Is this the Lennon JD Book Club? Oh, look at this. So you got a couple books picked out?
Well, we have all winter to read.
We threw out a few of our favorite books last night. Do they have to be baseball books?
No, I don't think so. It's our club.
All right.
Do whatever we want.
A strike on Anthony Rizzo. All right, we'll think about it tonight. Give you a couple more later. Love the animation. Rizzo knocked in 3 last night in the Cubs' 6-1 win. Fowler got a good read on that pitch in the dirt. It'll be a wild pitch to get him to second. Venerable Bob Rosenberg, the official scorer here tonight, letting us know of the scoring decision. So runner at second and a 1-1 count on Rizzo.
Stevenson was the Gatorade California High School Player of the Year his senior year in high school. Started the season by throwing 2 no-hitters. At AAA this year, 8-9 with a .441 earned run average. Reds pitching this year has set a record for home runs allowed. They've walked more batters than anybody in baseball this year. There's like Votto with 2 strikes, choking up.
Stevenson's 2-2. Nubbed on the ground at third. Fowler holding, but Rizzo's going to be safe. So that's the first hit for the Cubs. An infield single for Rizzo. And then 2 on for Ben Zobrist. Unplanned, but it worked.
Yeah, and we've seen that changeup a couple of times now, and it's a swing and miss pitch. It's got real good movement. So choking up gives you a little better bat control, and sometimes when you put it in play, good things happen.
Suarez did all he could. And now it is Zobrist, who's had some struggles here as of late at home. Last 11 games at Wrigley, just 2 out of 37. You mentioned the other day, Ben has gone through some mini slumps. He's continued to take his walks. He's not an anxious hitter. And that's why his on base percentage has been very healthy throughout the year. 114 points above his batting average.
Yeah, and he's debating or questioning that call there from Bill Welke, and that's kind of gone on a little bit too for him lately. Got some pitches off the plate called strikes. Looks like he's got that elbow up a little higher than he normally does. Hitters, when they're struggling, they're always searching, trying to find a little bit of an adjustment.
This one cued foul to third. Yeah, they are a patient bunch. And walking at a very high rate, that 08 club. The hallmark of that offense as well. Can't forget about the 1911 Cubs either.
They have good chemistry.
Yeah. Cold foul, just foul past first. Cubs have dominated this season series. They're 12-3 against the Reds with 4 to go, including tonight. With the unbalanced schedule, your division record matters a lot. And the Cubs are 43-22 against the other 4 teams in the Central.
A losing month of July, the only losing month they've had under Joe Madden. They responded by going 22-6 in August. They lead the league in ERA, defensive efficiency. They're second in runs per game to the Rockies. And, well, you don't have to justify that, but they're the only team in the National League that's in the top 5 in all 3 of those categories. I feel like I'm going to have to write a letter of an apology to the Rockies for every time I diss their numbers this year, or over these many years since I've been doing this job. It's just, I always feel like you have to qualify the Rockies' offensive success.
Ex-Cub DJ LeMahieu might win a batting title. He had another big day. Ground ball into left, base hit. Fowler will be sent. The throw to the plate by Duvall is late.
Man, don't get hurt.
Cubs lead 1-0.
Wow, I hate to see that head first slide into the catcher. Looks like he's okay, but this is scary stuff. Oof. Looked like he was going to try to go back door and slap the corner of the plate, but Duvall wasn't going to give him any room.
Yeah, you know, and if Barnhart had tagged out Fowler, I think Joe would have challenged the collision rule. Don't you think?
Yes.
He was in the lane.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can get one more look and see if Barnhart was straddling the plate before the throw got near the plate, because that's usually the bailout call is that the throw takes the catcher into the lane. But we have not really seen this a lot this year with the catcher really guarding the plate, but I think he was in this case.
Yeah, I think
he's
had
lucky
he been called
he didn't
out
get
to challenge. Yeah, I mean that's one where you should just stay up and bowl the catcher over, or just feet first and just don't put yourself in that kind of jeopardy.
Two 2-0 on Hayward. He's heating up again. He's had a few of these stretches and can't seem to sustain it. High in the air, deep to center, but it is going to be playable for Schebler as Rizzo will tag and head to third.
On another night, that one's way out of here. Good swing of the bat.
Javier Baez with 2 outs. He's playing short tonight for Addison Russell. For ball 1. Time for our Lexus Run Predictor, brought to you by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. Below league average, first and third 2 outs this year. Getting any runs. Will get on a play off to the right. 2-1. I mentioned that senior year in high school for Stevenson. California Player of the Year according to Gatorade. Back-to-back no-hitters. Alhambra High School in Martinez, California.
He was the Johnny Vandermeer of high school.
That's right. Martinez is just northeast of Oakland, East Bay. He had committed to the University of Washington before signing a pretty lucrative bonus with the Reds.
Yeah, and you know, most of the prospect rating publications put him around top 30, or coming into the season top 30 in MLB. Top 30, top 40, somewhere in that range.
Full count.
We're seeing a lot of youngsters from the Reds in this series. Josh Smith, and he's not really a youngster, he's 29, but doesn't have a lot of experience. Game 1 of the series, it was Tim Adelman, a rookie. Again, not real young, 28. But first year in the big leagues. And now Stevenson.
Action time for Zobrist. Tapped on the ground at third. Tough play Suarez. The bare hand. He didn't get him. As Votto was off the base. 2-0.
Single RBI. Votto pointing towards the Reds dugout, indicating that they should take a look at this. And of course they're going to take a look, and the question remains, will they challenge? Suarez twice already having to come in and make plays on slow rollers.
The throw beat him, and Ryan Price is going to challenge, and it looked like he may have had the foot on the base. Oh, hard to tell.
Ooh, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to overturn this.
Well, Brandon Phillips is convinced. He's walking into the dugout. You can't tell. I think it's one where
that shot right there looks like he's off the base, but it's. And then you have the whole argument too, is the ball in the back of the mitt before he hits the base. I don't think they're going to be able to overturn this. Unless they have, they're seeing something we're not. This one will definitely go on our DVD game. You make the call.
Well, if it holds up, it'll be the second infield hit of the inning. And I have a feeling this one might take a while because of what you said. And as I say that, we got our answer.
Ready? You make the call. Oh, they're going to review the review.
So it is 2-0. Give Baez an RBI. Ryan Price doesn't agree. And you know he wants to go out and argue. And he knows that if he does, he'll get kicked out. It's Montero batting 7th tonight and catching. Stevenson will have at least a 30 pitch inning.
Last time out, Stevenson pitched against the Pirates. That was on Friday. In that ball game, he went 5 innings, threw 100 pitches. So he worked him over pretty good too. He allowed 4 hits, 4 runs, walked 4, struck out 6. My scouting report has him with the changeup, but that looks almost split fingerish. The action on that pitch.
Two and two. That was a nasty pitch.
Yeah, there's no real fade to it. I mean, it's straight down.
Another full count.
Very jittery out there. Again, he's just 23 years of age, just a handful of major league starts under his belt. First time ever here at Wrigley. There's his belt now.
Toward right, but Phillips leaves his feet, and from a knee, he'll get it to Votto to end the inning, but the Cubs scored twice. It's 2-0 after one.
Along with Joe Madden, log on to WGNTV.com right now. Click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner. Connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and information while you watch from home. Game Zone is sponsored by The Great Escape, pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Everything you need to have more fun at home this summer or next summer or Indian summer.
Brandon Phillips. And a nice defensive play to end the Cubs first. And he swings and rolls one to Bryant. Pitch one out for John Lackey.
Well, if you were a betting man, you might have been willing to put some money down on a first pitch swing from Phillips against Lackey. John gets more first pitch swings than anybody because he's so aggressive, and Phillips is a hacker. He goes up there swinging. John Lackey, that's his approach. He aggressively pursues early contact. That's allowed him to pitch deep into a lot of games this year. And first pitch strike percentage right up to near the top. He's not on the podium. He's awfully close. He could get there after tonight.
His teammate second. Hendricks bounce past John, backhanded, nope, under the glove of Zobrist. One out hit for Schebler.
As Zobrist can't figure out how he missed that ball.
This Friday, September 23rd, Cubs welcome in the Cardinals at 1:20. Up to the first 10,000 early arriving fans get a Cubs nightlight presented by Think Energy. Limited tickets are still available through Cubs.com.
You gotta be kidding me.
You gotta be kidding me. Steve Selski. Deep right center, and it'll hit the track, then the vines. Schebler around third. Zobrist's relay not in time. It's a double for Selski, and it's a 2-1 ball game.
I don't know that Ben would have had to play anyway if he'd been able to field that ball up the middle. Selski delivers the RBI double after the hit by Schebler. And again, aggressive first pitch fastball from Lackey. Selski takes a whack and is rewarded. Schebler's got some skills. He can run a little bit. He's got some power.
Tucker Barnhart, switch hitting catcher. Ball one. Brownsburg, Indiana native. 25 years old.
That sounds like Lance Lynn, right? Isn't he from Brownsburg, Indiana?
Drew Storen.
Must be something in the water.
Yeah, they've had some good teams there. And those are the three major league players who have come out of Brownsburg High School. Storen, Lynn, and Barnhart. Pitcher Stevenson is on deck. Barnhart caught Storen in high school. Storen 2 years ahead of him. And Barnhart was Mr. Baseball in Indiana 2009.
Wasn't Clayton Richard Mr. Baseball in Indiana?
And that is a wonderful award. Not as prestigious as Mr. Basketball in that state, but still impressive.
Yeah. I believe Scott Rowland was once Mr. Baseball in Indiana.
He walked him. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Back here at Wrigley Field. And JD and our WGN sports crew, our final home telecast here on WGN this season. Stevenson bunts. It's a good one. Bryant will get it to Zobrist. Second and third. 2 outs for Peraza. Pitcher and catcher discuss.
John worked out of a little situation there in the first. Man on third, less than 2 outs. They did not score. Now trying to limit the damage here in the second. Been on a nice roll. 364 since the break.
Pretty good players on that list. Ahead of Pedroia and Murphy. Jared also checked in on Twitter. Yeah, I think Clayton Richard was Mr. Baseball and Mr. Football. And Indiana. Ground ball into left. 1 run is in. Here comes the throw to the plate. Out. Barnhart tagged out, so the Reds do tie the game, but Chris Coghlan makes sure they don't take the lead.
That beautiful throw by Coghlan and a very nice catch and tag by Montero. Good concentration. Base runner barreling in on him. Got to make the catch first, then apply the tag. Bottom of the second, Cub fans, don't forget to check out the Cubs baseball blog at WGNTV.com. The blog is sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 38 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side.
Jose Peraza has been impressive here early on with the Reds. And filling in lately for Zach Cozart. He's 2 for 2 with an RBI tonight.
Cozart battling a knee issue, a knee that he had surgically repaired last year. Billy Hamilton also on the disabled list. Jay Bruce is now a Met.
He's struggled, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done a lot of damage.
Bruce hitting 176 with the Mets in 40 games. Coghlan fighting to stay in the at-bat.
Mets leading 3-0 now over Atlanta behind Bartolo Colon. Either ageless or aged one, depending on how you want to describe Colon. 6 shutout innings so far for him tonight. He's got a 3.04 ERA. Funny with all those young Turks going down, and Colon just keeps plodding along.
Want a dog?
A sausage.
Somebody's selling. How's it looking around the National League? The Nationals lead 5-0 in Miami. The Cubs' magic number to clinch best record in the National League, and therefore home field advantage throughout, is 3. Giants with a lead. Giants are in Los Angeles later tonight.
Rockies Cardinal game, the rookie Luke Weaver made the start for St. Louis today. He allowed 6 runs in 2 innings. Ironically, Jaime Garcia came in behind him. Garcia just lost his spot in the rotation when they promoted Reyes. Garcia pitched 4 innings of shutout baseball, allowed just 1 hit, struck out 5. So now Mike Matheny's probably thinking, all right, maybe Garcia gets a start.
Line shot center field, down for a hit. Good battle by Coghlan. Don't miss your chance to watch October baseball from the all-inclusive, unique atmosphere of the rooftops across Wrigley Field. Limited playoff tickets are available now by calling 773-248-ROOF or by visiting WrigleyRooftops.com.
It has been a resurgent Chris Coghlan here of late. He tries to press his case to be on the postseason roster.
Suarez ready to charge. Lackey bunts foul.
Yeah, it was interesting. Brandon Phillips took a wide arc towards the first baseline and then came in behind to cover first on the bunt. But I'm wondering if he was thinking pickoff too. We've seen situations where Joe will have his second baseman hold the runner on and move Anthony Rizzo way in. Last time by now Phillips was already coming down the first base line. There he goes again, drifting towards the line. And now he'll trot back over to cover his position.
He swings away.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, it's, he positions himself over there by the line, giving you the idea that maybe that hole is going to be there.
Two and two. Gary Jones, the Cubs' third base coach. That will be a strikeout on a foul bunt. Time now for our Xfinity Speed Replay. John Lester with a game-winning RBI in each of his last 2 starts. Last night, David Ross went first to home on a double. First time in, what, 5 or 6 years, I think we mentioned. And
yeah, I want to say maybe 2011.
Basically lunged, fell down at home plate. Speed Replay brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Pitch to Fowler, misses outside. What a stretch here for Lester. Every home start he's made has been a quality start this season. He leads the National League with 18 wins. In the air to center field. Coghlan halfway to second. Shebler makes a catch, 2 outs. When asked about the line shot he took off his right wrist / hand last night, he said, "I don't need that one. And it's a long way from my heart."
Well, the The stat on Lester that really gets my attention is the 20 starts of 1 or no runs allowed. Speaks to how dominant he has been.
Good to see David Ross moisturizing. Always important.
He's rubbing his lucky knuckle.
2-0 to Chris Bryant.
Stevenson having a hard time commanding his fastball. When that happens, a couple things occur: walks and home runs. You miss the plate, and sometimes you make mistakes out over the plate.
Into shallow right field. Phillips is out. Selski is in, and it'll be Brandon Phillips to make the catch. Inning over. 2-2 tie early.
Play promotion. Text Subway 3 to 97999. The 300th texter will win a $30 gift card to a Subway restaurant in the Chicagoland area. Subway, fresh is what we do.
Lackey to Suarez. Fastball right down the pipe. Bouncer foul. 0-2. Orioles lead the Red Sox 1-0. Sixth inning in Baltimore. Red Sox in great shape. They've won 6 in a row. 4-game lead over Toronto. 5 ahead of the O's. Powering fly. Center field. It's Fowler. And our Mazda replay cam. Little carom and a misplay, and you can't do that in front of a Major League bullpen. Especially the bullpen catcher, Chad Noble.
Noble's really lighting him up. Lester Strode. Disgusted.
Heard enough. Votto, line shot, deep center. And it's over the head of Fowler into the ivy, and he puts his arms up, and Votto will keep going, but will I'm sure be told to head back to second. Like Estabrook. Double checking.
Showing tremendous range. Checking on the vines. There should be a sound effect in the ballpark anytime that happens, like a chewing sound. The monster of the ivy eating up the baseballs. Joey Votto trying to become just the second Reds player to bat .320 or higher with a .430 or better on base percentage. Joe Morgan did it twice.
And he's got a chance. Since an all-star game started right back in 1933 to have the best second half batting average in National League history. Duvall is out. Bryant gets him.
Yeah, it's one of those random things, right? How we break the season down into pre-All-Star and post-All-Star. But I guess it just gives you an idea of how hot he's been for an extended period of time.
But it wasn't as if he was just okay early. I mean, he was bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we were saying, well, he's been all right. You know, for most guys, you'd take it, but.
So maybe
for Joey Votto, he was like 230 something, right?
And we talk so much about how players, you know, in the primes of their career, some years they have off years, but most guys, sooner or later, they find their level. So maybe we should have anticipated this run by Votto after such a poor start.
Yeah, he kind of gets the benefit of the doubt as Phillips has to shake that off. Joey was at 229 after April ended. He was at 235 as late as June 14.
So post Flag Day, he's been unbelievable. We'll break that down for you next time he comes up with his pre and post Flag Day career numbers.
One to Phillips. 10-game hitting streak. Three out of 9 with a homer and a double so far in the series. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
John's last start was against the Brewers. He went 7 innings, allowed 9 hits, 4 runs. He's back on the 16th. He got a no decision. The Cubs 1-10. He allowed 9 hits, 3 home runs in that ball game.
Phillips just did a Luis Valbuena. Checked his swing, pointed at the first base umpire. Feels like a natural thing to do, but if you're a batter, here's the thing: if the home plate umpire calls it a strike, they're not going to go down to first and go, "What did you think?" It's only if the home plate umpire doesn't.
Yeah, there's no appeal the other way.
Maybe there should be. Maybe he's making a point. I want a second opinion. 3-2.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder, why in the history of our great game that it hasn't been considered, or maybe it has been considered but not implemented. If the pitching team can check, why can't the hitter, after a called strike, say, wait a minute here?
We'll put it on our list. 3-2 with 2 outs. Votto at second. And we'll try it again.
I mentioned this earlier. A couple weeks ago or so, I was watching a telecast. Bobby Valentine was working, and Bobby V suggests that the check swing is always a ball.
You have to have a full swing.
Yeah.
Ground ball back to Lackey. Lob it to Rizzo, and the inning is over. We are tied at 2 in the third. Gary Pressey, 30 seasons as the organist here at Wrigley Field, and a limited edition. We call it a bobblehead, but the head doesn't bobble. So we'll kind of call it a cooler version of the bobblehead, in that it actually plays "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and the version that plays is the one by Gary. I've got it here. They're giving away 30 of these on social media tonight. Swing and a miss on the changeup. So here it is, and if he hit this button,
crank it up. Hey,
that's Gary playing the song. Pretty neat, huh?
It's pretty slick.
It's more of a bobble arm. The only moving part here looks to be this arm right here. So he can wave at you.
Got a little Paul Schaefer thing working there.
He does.
Maybe people could somehow link that into their doorbell.
Great idea. Well, congrats to Gary. It's well deserved. He was tickled about this, and if you follow the Cubs on Twitter @Cubs, go to their Facebook page, Instagram, all that stuff, you can find out more in terms of, and I think Gary has thrown out a couple of trivia questions, that sort of thing. It's a limited edition, 30 of these. They will be giving away via social media tonight. And we will display this here.
Proudly display.
Right. I will protect Gary, our version of Gary, from any foul ball that comes into the booth. Inside. JD's playing around with the music. You know what? We should leave that in here, and the guests who come in to sing, they can practice.
Cranks it out pretty good, doesn't it?
3-2 on Zobrist. Ball four. I should say Balfour. Robert Louis Stevenson. I think it was one of his middle names. Hey, plan your spring travel to Sloan Park in Mesa, Arizona with Cubs Destination. Spring training packages, including game tickets, hotel accommodations, rental car, Cubs swag, and a private meet and greet with Cubs players. Details available soon at Cubs.com/travel. Robert Louis Balfour Stevenson, the author. We have to remember to say Balfour whenever he walks anybody.
Part of the story last night, Reds pitchers issued 6 walks in the ball game. Cubs have really dominated this series. They didn't go deep last night. For the first time in 16 games against Cincinnati pitching, they did not hit a home run.
Alexis run predictor, runner at first, 1 out. Brought to you by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. Happy 42nd anniversary to Ray and Marie Fellows, celebrating today.
Any relation to Brian Fellows?
I don't believe so. I don't know. And happy birthday wishes to Cubs Executive Chairman Tom Ricketts. He shares a birthday with Bill Murray.
How old is Bill Murray?
I think Bill is 66 today. Pause by Stevenson to pitch. A rope out to center. It's caught by Schebler. Well, Hayward has made contact right on the button twice, but for outs tonight. And our Bud fan cam coming up a little later. Hashtag Bud Fridays. If you'd like to send us a selfie on Twitter, we might include it in our fan cam segment.
Don't get cheated. So as Gary Sanchez, kid for the Yankees, has hit 2 home runs tonight. He now has 19 home runs in 45 games. He was the fastest ever to 18 and obviously the fastest to 19.
Made an interesting comment before the game. We were chatting off the air. The New York Yankees have become the model of stability.
Yeah, isn't that something? George Steinbrenner was running the operation over there, how he burned through managers and general managers. Brian Cashman and Joe Girardi have been in place a good long while now.
Ground ball into center field. Baez is 2 for 2.
That little slow roller infield hit last time. This time solid single for Baez. Batting average back up over 270. Rocks the shoulders, hands back and through.
On for Montero. Cubs got 2 in the first. Reds answered right back with 2 in the second. Stevenson will reach the 70 pitch mark. We're only in the third.
Given the report we got on him of good stuff but suspect command and the patience of the Cubs hitters, this is a fairly predictable situation here with him running this high pitch count. Mentioned Cozart and Hamilton on the DL. Devin Mesoraco also out. He's battled hip injuries. Hasn't played much the last couple of years. Barnhart, the backup, taking over as the primary catcher, has done a nice job. He's probably surprised some Reds folks with the work he's done with the bat. They always liked his defensive skills. Mesoraco, after an all-star year in 2014, played 23 games last year, just 16 games this season. With a hip and then his shoulder this year, right?
Yeah, he's had a couple of lost seasons after that great year.
Been a big part of the Reds story the last few years. They've had some devastating injuries. Homer Bailey, trying to keep him on the field.
Right, so they've had some productive players, but maybe not enough depth, and that's an issue for a team that doesn't have a huge payroll. Three-two, runners going, lined into left. Here comes Zobrist. Throw to the plate. And it's airmailed Montero on his way to second. It's 3-2 Cubs.
RBI single for Montero, and then he goes to second on the throwing. Now this ball is about to hit the dirt. And he defends the wicket and serves it into left.
Chris Coughlin will be intentionally walked with Lackey on deck. And this is going to end up being a short night for Stevenson. Seen a little action out in the Reds bullpen. Somebody's going to get up at 75 pitches in the third inning. Cubs are grinding out their bats tonight. Good to see.
These are some of the widest intentional walk pitches I've ever seen. Barnhart showing tremendous range back there.
McGill cranking it up. Comes Mac Jenkins, their pitching coach.
Well, we've chronicled the Reds pitching woes. Better in the second half. Early on, really struggled. The bullpen was a mess. They made a change. Fired their pitching coach Mark Riggins, replaced him with Jenkins, who had been out in the bullpen. Former big league pitcher Ted Power, who had been a pitching coach down at AAA Louisville, was called up to work in the bullpen. And there are some that think that Ted Power may take over as the full-time pitching coach down the road.
He swings away, elevates out into right center, and it's caught by Schebler to end the inning. A walk, a couple of hits, and the Cubs regain the lead. Miguel Montero, some fine work. 3-2. Schedule. It is brought to you by Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or localfordstores.com. And the if you'd like to get up and dance while we look at the Ford schedule, feel free to do so. For the sounds of delight.
Watch out.
Miguel Montero giving the Cubs their second lead tonight. Great choice of tunes tonight. Schebler bunts foul. Scott Schebler, Steve Selski. Where's Scott Sanderson and Steve Stone? And who else? Steve Swisher.
Scott Spezio.
Good.
I think we got a Jeopardy category working.
And one of them has to play shortstop. Fowler makes the catch.
The quiet you're hearing is Len and I trying to come up with more SS ball players.
Scott Service. Nice job, Kyle, on Twitter.
And the other Scott Service.
The other Scott Service. One of the most famous, Sammy Sosa.
How do we forget Sammy?
Steven Souza. We got a lot of them.
Sally Struthers.
Did Soupy Sales play big league ball?
Soupy Sales was a hard-hitting third baseman.
Swing and a miss. Selski retired.
Sudden Sam McDowell. Now we're cheating.
Hey, Fred Washington, who has been working for the Cubs since 1984. That was his first year when the Cubs won the National League East. And yeah, he's the man out there who puts all those tiles in for all the out-of-town scores. He is going to retire at the end of this season. Fred told me I think he's turning 66, or he is 66. He's a young 66, and we love him, and got to send him out with a World Series championship, right?
That would be fun.
So congrats to Fred. And fine work out there in the iconic Wrigley Field scoreboard. What a gig, huh?
I remember being excited about doing it in Little League. So to do it here, my goodness.
Outside for a ball, it's 1-2. Top to first. Rizzo will flip to Lackey. A lot of people hoping the Cubs can go all the way, including our buddy Fred Washington.
Cubs checking and an official Cubs MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Member FDIC.
Cubs lead 3-2.
Action in the Reds bullpen last inning. Allowed just the one run. Got John Lackey to fly out with the bases loaded. So he will soldier on here. But I suspect first sign of trouble, and the Reds will get somebody up again.
Two-0 to Fowler. Hit by a pitch. Scored in the first. Fly to center in the second. It's a great shot. You may have noticed over these last two seasons, Joe basically stands in the same spot in every dugout. If he moves, it's either to go to the mound or to speak to a player and maybe grab a cup of coffee or water, but he likes to set up shop in the same position. Three-two. Joe knows. Drive to deep right, way back and gone. A home run. 4-2.
A little revenge for Fowler, who was hit by a pitch his first time up tonight. Pumps his 13th home run of the year into the right field bleachers. But Stevenson struggling with command, so he falls behind, then leaves the fastball over the heart of the plate. Southwest Airlines, how far did it fly? 417 feet.
He sent it across the plains. Oh, Robert Stevenson. This one's going to stop. Reds were hoping it would roll fair.
Yeah, and then the ball boy was dashing out there to make a play on it. Who was it that hit the ball? Somebody hit one recently like that twisted back there. Might have been Chris.
The Cubs last night did not hit a home run. It snapped their 16-game home run streak against the Reds. Fowler going deep.
This man here, Chris Bryant, has hit 9 home runs against the Reds this year. That's tied for 6th most in a single season by an opposing player versus Cincinnati. Eddie Matthews got him 11 times in 1953. There is action again in the Cincinnati bullpen.
That's McGill. He was throwing earlier. Short right. And it's Selski. Register for the chance to purchase 2016 postseason tickets for potential games here at Wrigley Field. Go to Cubs.com/postseason to register and learn more about this postseason ticket purchase opportunity. The Cubs will conduct random drawings from among eligible fans who successfully complete the registration form. The registration period for the NLCS ends at noon Friday, October 7th.
It's a cross up. Normally doesn't happen with nobody on base.
Really should never happen, right?
No,
with nobody on base, I mean.
Yeah.
One and one.
Although, you know, some teams now, some pitchers and catchers are a little more sophisticated in their signaling than they used to be. Nobody on base, you didn't use a series of signs. You just put down a finger, or that time it's a wiggle, so he's going to throw his changeup here.
Lined right into the shift. Peraza, the shortstop, makes the catch.
That's what most people still do, nobody on base. But some will use a series of signs, even in those situations. There's always paranoid, fearful of a little skullduggery. People trying to steal signs.
Zobrist 2 reaches. RBI single in the first, a walk and a run in the third.
Oh, but way back in the early days, even the early 1900s, I can't remember which club it was. They had a buzzer set up in the third base coach's box, and they had a way of relaying a little electrical buzzer, and player would position down the bullpen would see the pitch signal. He had a way of signaling somebody in the dugout or the clubhouse, and they would signal the third base coach, who would signal the hitter. And of course, the Bobby Thompson, the year the Giants came roaring back to beat the Dodgers to win the pennant, they were stealing signs.
Two-one. Down back. Jorge Soler maybe gets a pinch hit opportunity tonight. He's looking hitterish. Been out a few days with some tightness in his right side. Lined into left center. Peraza just couldn't get it.
Well, good night for Zobrist. 2 hits plus a walk. He scored a run.
That'll be it for Stevenson, it appears. So a pitching change here in the fourth. Cubs lead the Reds 4-2.
AT&T, mobilizing your world. Matt McGill has pitched twice this year for the Reds, and one of those was last night, pitched a scoreless 8th.
Mike Matheny, Matt Niesky. Are we going to go through the M?
Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Mantle.
Moms Mobley.
Matt Merton.
Matt Merton.
Here's Jason Hayward. Runner at first. A run in on the Fowler home run.
McGill's 26 years of age, 6'3", 210. Drafted by the Dodgers in the 31st round, 2008.
Another M&M, Mike Montgomery, and we might see Mike in relief tonight. Cubs have tweaked their rotation. Again, Kyle Hendricks will be pushed back to Monday. He'll make 2 starts in the final week of the season. So this weekend against the Cardinals, it'll be Leake and Arrieta Friday, Reyes Hamill Saturday, Martinez Lester Sunday. And you can't forget about Minnie Minoso. We went through the entire alphabet. Could we find double for all of the letters?
Yeah, and this is the kind of thing we used to do, just while away the time in the bullpen.
Yeah. Lined in the right center. Zobrist will head to third. Yeah, Q would be tough, but I can do UU, Uget, Urbina. It's going way deep.
Frankie Frisch. Well, good contact 3 times for Jason tonight. Finally gets rewarded with a knock.
Baez already 2 for 2. Popped up as Phillips in the outfield grass makes the catch. Dexter Fowler grooved one on out of here, and it's 4-2. John Lackey looking for his 10th win. He has a 4-2 lead. Tony Renda will pinch hit to start the Reds' 5th. And a called strike. Hands over his head. Breaking ball outside, 1-1. Cubs are 3-3 on this homestand.
Ooh, good pitch.
54-23 on the year at Wrigley Field. Earlier on this homestand Monday, the Cubs passed the 3 million mark in attendance here at home. 9th time in club history.
First questioning Bill Welke, and then not happy that Renda was granted timeout as he was getting ready to pitch.
2 balls and 2 strikes.
Three down, 4th for John, his first such inning tonight.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. The 5th inning is brought to you by Fifth Third Bank. Now get access to over 45,000 fee-free ATMs nationwide. Peraza 2 hits and an RBI. Thought he had maybe knocked in 2 to give the Reds the lead, but Tucker Barnhart was nailed at the plate by Chris Coghlan. So Stevenson, the starter, he only recorded 11 outs, took him 98 pitches to get there. A couple of bounces to Baez. Whereas Lackey almost threw 5 now, sitting at just 60.
And it's just, you know, Lackey with a world of experience, trusting his stuff, aggressive with the fastball. Stevenson just the opposite, working out of the zone, and Cub hitters, it's a tough formula against this Cubs lineup. Even if you have success in terms of keeping the runs down, you're going to throw so many pitches, you're not going to be able to stay in the game for very long.
One and one to Suarez. These are all learning experiences for the 23-year-old. 2-1. Lackey ready. Didn't get the call. 3-1.
Yeah, tried a little change up there to Suarez. Suarez has got some pop. He's hit 20 home runs this year.
And he pops it up.
See?
It's the kind of pop
Got
you
some
like
pop.
if you're a pitcher. Facing
high
him.
pop.
Reds go down in order in the 5th.
By Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you.
Stay tuned for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Budweiser. Not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. Harry Carey on the big board in the 7th tonight.
It's a hard-throwing right-hander Michael Lorenzen into the ballgame now for Cincinnati.
Third Reds pitcher tonight.
Did a nice job. 2-1, 2.45 ERA. 32nd appearance. All out of the bullpen. Last year he made 21 starts for the Reds.
Yeah, we saw him in a starter's role previously, and a pretty touching moment on August 19th against the Dodgers as he faces Miguel Montero. That's in off the plate on the cutter. He batted for himself while pitching in relief, cranked a 3-run homer, the first homer of his career. He came on the heels of a trip to the bereavement list due to the death of his father. A very emotional, bittersweet moment for Lorenzen as Montero picks up a leadoff single. He's 2 for 3. So he pitched before he batted. And he said after he got out of the inning on the mound, quote, "I needed to get back into the bathroom because I broke down." So he left the dugout. Said there were some teammates who helped him out, and then he came back out, got into the batter's box and hit a home run. And the home run, not really very surprising. He could hit. In college, he was an outfielder. Cal State Fullerton. Hit over 300, little pop, some on-base skills. Closed some games during his senior year. The Reds did draft him as a pitcher. 38th overall, 2013. So he didn't pitch a whole lot in college before he was drafted.
Put together 6'3", 205.
One and one to Coughlin.
You can get upper 90s with that fastball.
Tap foul, 2-2. Lackey on deck, talking things over with Joe. I assume if Coughlin gets on, Joe giving him some instructions.
In keeping with our theme tonight, Lorenzen, not the only Lorenzen to play in the big leagues. There was a lefty Lorenzen who pitched in one game for the 1913 Detroit Tigers.
They got to the show, although 1913 they probably didn't call it the show, right?
Probably not.
So who came up with that term? The show. Somebody had to say it.
Probably Dennis Eckersley. He's, he comes up with a lot of things. He came up with walk-off.
Ball 4. So first and second, nobody out. Third time Coughlin's been on. Montero and Coughlin 7 and 8 have combined to reach 5 times tonight. You think John told Joe, you might want me to bunt, but I'm running out of time in my bet against Lester.
Yeah, he might have lobbied, but he also was looking for that 10th win. Probably feels that, his baseball mind would probably say, if I get this bunt down, Fowler gets a knock, I've got a very comfortable lead.
Not showing bunt, and ball 1. Wind has died down completely. I think Lackey loved that call.
Still stewing about the slider. He didn't get called in the top half of the inning.
Late that time on 95. Probably a good thing he missed it. I rolled into a triple play. Swinging strike 3.
Unforgettable games, undeniable greatness, and unstoppable drama. The 2016 postseason begins October 4th. Go to MLB.com/postseason for a full schedule.
Fowler homered his last time up. He takes a strike. Everybody thought, including a lot of his then ex-teammates, that he was going to sign a 3-year deal with the Baltimore Orioles. And he walked into camp on February 25th. Theo Epstein said this, I can never top this. A lot of his Cub teammates had texted him, congratulations on your new deal, but he never did agree to a deal with Baltimore.
He got off to a great start. He and Ben Zober so good early on. The returnee and the newbie. Cubs got off to that great start.
One and two.
Was it 25 and 6?
25 and 6, and then 47 and 20. Count holding at 1 and 2. Red Sox have a 5-1 lead in Baltimore, bottom of the 9th. Closing in on what would be their 7th straight win. Indians leading the Royals 3-2 in Cleveland in the 8th. Braves have tied the Mets 3-3 in the 9th.
Yeah. 2 in the 7th, 1 in the 8th to tie that ball game.
The tying run was scored with Familia on the mound. On a hop, Votto. He'll get one at second. Relay throw is late. What a play by Votto. Lorenzen was late getting over to first. I don't know if Votto knew that, but he immediately fired to second, which might have been his only play.
Ball absolutely blistered by Fowler, and Votto had some problems last night defensively. That was a heck of a play.
Yeah, I don't think Lorenzen was going to beat Fowler to first.
And this is the play anyway to keep that man out of scoring position and have a shot at the double play.
At the corners, Bryant takes just low. Pirates trying to hang around the edges. 4-1 at Milwaukee. They lead in the 6th.
Here's where Chris has to just stay true to his game plan. Don't expand the zone. He's got that man on third base. He pursues 100 driven in.
One and two to Bryant. Fowler takes off and a balk. Barnhart just kind of stood up, I think asking for time or trying to wave at Lorenzen. Lorenzen panicked and the Cubs get a run. Yeah, see, Lorenzen saying I thought
he called time.
Called time, but the catcher can't call time. Only the umpire can. 5-2.
Brian Price out now looking for an explanation.
Yeah, I don't think there's any argument. I think Price got the explanation that made sense to him. So now Fowler at second, a run in. Now a 1-2 count on Bryant.
Word. Pretty impressive block by Barnhart there. That pitch way off the plate. Yeah, Barnhart's frantically asking for timeout here.
Yeah, and if you're Bill Welke, once Fowler takes off, you're not going to call time, no matter who requests it. Shallow left. It'll be the shortstop Peraza to end the inning. Cubs add to their lead now 5-2.
MLB.TV Premium. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on more than 400 supported devices and enjoy a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV.
Cubs lead 5-2. Joey Votto takes a breaking ball high and away. Miguel Montero continues to surge offensively. 2 hits, an RBI, and a run for the Cubs catcher. Left field, and that's Coghlan. Well, the minor league seasons have been over for a bit, but as we take a look throughout the Cubs system, and we chatted with Randy Wayhofer at the ballpark yesterday, see what Jeimer Candelario did. I saw him briefly at the big league level earlier this year, and Felix Pena currently in the big league bullpen. Marty Peavy, the manager, has been with the club the last few days.
Jeimer, his name came up a lot as the trade deadline approached. Coveted prospect. The Cubs able to hang on to him. He started the year in AA. Really took off at AAA level.
Duvall flies out. He's 0 for 3. John Andrioli made an impression in spring training. He led the Pacific Coast League with 43 stolen bases. Phillips has grounded out both times. And he takes a strike.
Lackey has retired 10 in a row. He's a good-looking man right there. A good-looking human being.
There's your doppelganger.
So 10 in a row retired by Lackey after the one-out double by Votto in the 3rd. He's not allowed a base runner. Wins have been hard to come by for him lately. 2-6 his last 8 decisions with an ERA a little above 4. Had a number of good starts in that stretch. Just hasn't really picked up many wins.
It's a 1-2-3 inning. Lackey hasn't given up a hit since the 3rd. Summary. Great deals are waiting for you now at your local Honda dealer. Zobrist, Baez, Montero each with 2 hits tonight. Cubs have 10 through the first 5 innings. Home run Dexter Fowler, and John Lackey has pitched well.
Pitched well. He's been efficient. Got at least one more in him here, you would have to believe.
Two 2-0 on Anthony Rizzo. To the bag for the out. Zobrist on all 3 times. Right down the middle. That's a strike. And another hit for Ben. Good signs. 3 for 3.
Out of 3 plus a walk, so 4 reaches for Zobrist here tonight. Hayward's been on the ball sharply all night long. 1 out of 3, but deep drive and a line out for the 2 outs. Eleven hits already in this ball game for the Cubs.
First 3-hit game for Ben Zobrist in almost a month.
Okay, hitters count. Seeing it well tonight. Go ahead and cheat on one.
He walked him. Two on, 1 out. So the Cubs have had multiple base runners in every inning but the second. They had a leadoff single in that inning. And a lot of traffic tonight.
What was the final last night?
What's that?
What was the final score last night?
Final score was 6-1.
6-1. Yep. Because coming into the series, the Cubs were averaging better than 8 runs per game.
Yeah, they were outscoring the Reds like 8 to under 4 per game in this season series. Huge run differential. That is a strike to Baez. Peraza will fire to first, and he beats Baez. 2 down, second and third.
This is just leg one of a 3-city road trip for Cincinnati. Blake Wood, we saw him the other night, hard-throwing right-hander. They'll be off tomorrow, then move on to Milwaukee, and then 4 games with St. Louis before hosting the Cubs the final weekend of the season.
Braves now lead the Mets. How about that? 4-3 in the bottom of the ninth. Atlanta getting all 4 of its runs in the final 3 innings. That would be a heartbreaker if the Mets drop this one tonight. Cardinals already lost today. Giants are starting up in Los Angeles. If they all lose, they all remain tied. And a lot of conversation around baseball today about the crazy tiebreaker scenario. If those 3 teams end in a tie, you have designations of Team A, Team B, Team C. You can host 1 game, go on the road for 2 to win 1 to get in the wild card. I mean, it's potentially a mess, and it's a mess the Cubs probably hope happens, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you're the Cubs, you're hoping that there's a 3-way tie, and you know, there's a need for more games to be played to shake things out, and ultimately the team you will play will be a little bit deeper into their rotation. You know, it comes down to the final game of the season, so you're going to, whoever's available, you're going to fire all your bullets to make sure you get into that extra playoff scenario.
Joe Madden had a scenario in Tampa Bay where they had to win on Sunday in Toronto. And they did, and he got ejected during that game. Montero gets a piece of it. And then they had to go to
Texas. Right?
Yeah, it was 2013. That was David Price. Remember, he didn't have any success in Texas, but he did that night. And then they had to go to Cleveland in a must-win, and they did. And then they lost in the division series against the Red Sox in 4 games. Ground ball, base hit. 2 runs will score. How about Miguel Montero? He's got 3 knocked in tonight. 7-2.
There's that extra padding for Lackey. Just continue to bang away at Reds pitching.
Montero with his second 3-hit game this season. That will be it for Lorenzen. Cubs aiming for a series sweep, and they've got a 5-run lead in the 6th.
off his signature vehicle for charity. Raffle tickets are $100 each and are available at Fan Services during all remaining home games or at 3721 North Clark Street. Full details available at Cubs.com/Joe's Raffle.
Oakland fouls against Blake Wood.
Wood's 65th time he has pitched this year. He's 6-4 with a 4.08. Hard thrower. Struggles with command. Cincinnati pitchers have now thrown exactly twice as many pitches in this ball game as John Lackey. Usually in sports, when you talk about statistics, more is better. But when you're talking about pitches made,
Swing and a miss to end the inning. Cubs get 2 more though and lead 7-2.
Fan Cam. Welcome back. That's a hand clap. Fitz and the tantrums.
They've done the stretch a couple of times. Friends of the Cubs. Good tune. Schebler. Strike.
1-3-1 zone trap being deployed here on Schebler. Chris Bryant out in shallow right field. He's been mowing these Reds hitters down ever since the Votto double in the third. 11 in a row retired by the veteran right-hander. He will be 38 next month.
Ground ball backhanded by Bryant, the third baseman in the shift. He makes the play. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Yes, I just made up a jingle. I have no idea why. Just kind of felt like I wanted to be sing-songy. Steve Selski.
It's interesting. I've seen Bryant make that play a couple times here in recent games. Most guys that play the middle of the diamond would just slide over and get in front of that ball. That normally as a third baseman, you don't have that kind of time. So you're usually moving to your left or your right or coming in. So he has a tendency to, and feels more comfortable, I'm guessing, just to go ahead and play that ball on the backhand side.
Hector Rondon.
Corner infield positions are more reaction positions. Middle of the diamond, a lot of times it's, read the ball and position yourself.
I like that the Cubs and pretty much all teams now, they practice this shifting in spring training. I used to just see teams play straight up. Didn't really have much in terms of a scouting report on opposing hitters. But if you're going to do it in the regular season, do it in Arizona and Florida as well. As many reps as you can in unfamiliar positions. Bounced foul as we head down to Double-A. The Tennessee Smokies had a tough year, 58 and 81. But Chesney Young finished second in the league in batting. Brad Markey, 3.17 ERA among the league leaders. Kelly Dugan led the club in homers and RBIs, 13 and 50 respectively. Swing and a miss, 2 outs. Just the third strikeout for John. But he's only walked 1. And he is now retired. I've got 13 in a row.
Yeah, I think so. Laredo heater. Coming into this start, opposing batters were hitting .217 against Lackey. That's the 6th best in the National League. Among the league leaders in WHIP, walks plus hits per innings pitched.
Swing and a miss to end the inning. Timeout for the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Budweiser. Here's Harry.
For tonight's stretch, please direct your attention to the outfield video boards.
Catcher is now Ramon Cabrera. Inserted into the 9 spot, and Ross Ollendorf for the old-timey windup. Pitching to Albert Almora Jr., and he pops one up. Shallow center field. Phillips will give way. Schebler behind him. Ollendorf's been around for a while. Just missed the lower inside corner on Fowler.
Ollendorf originally signed by the Diamondbacks out of Princeton University.
Base hit left field. Third reach for Fowler.
Have the Reds had a 1-2-3 inning tonight? The pitchers, have they recorded a 1-2-3? They have not. As a matter of fact, the Cubs have scored in every inning but the second.
Nice work by John Lackey tonight. 7 innings, 2 runs on 5 hits. Well positioned for 10th win. Braves did beat the Mets.
Swept that series.
Yeah, hearing about a fantastic finish too. And, we'll get a look at how that game ended here in a second. Ross Ollendorf. He was in high school in Texas. Pitched for Keith Moreland. He was his high school baseball coach. That's high, 2-1.
Ollendorf's parents, or at least one of them, his mom or dad, taught at the University of Texas. But he opted to go to Princeton and play for Scott Bradley. Drafted by the Diamondbacks, came to the big leagues with the Yankees for the first time in 2007.
Chris Bryant launches to left. Way out of here. Number 38.
RBIs 98 and 99, so matching last year's total. And hitting yet another home run against the Cincinnati Reds. It'll be his 10th home run against Cincinnati this year, 38 on the year. A no doubter, as most of his are.
Rizzo takes low.
Southwest Airlines, how far did it fly? The distance of the Chris Bryant home run, 411.
Nice catch, young man. The back of the bleachers. Ooh, ouch, ouch, ouch. Bill Welke. I worry a lot about catchers and umpires these days, JD, because we just know so much more about shots to the head, concussions, and we've seen a lot of bad ones this year. Ed Halber making sure Bill is all right. Not much you can do about it.
Well, you know, those folks who are proponents of the electronic strike zone,
right?
Be another part of their argument there. Say, umpire's health.
Keep the ball in his glove, and then when he goes into that windup, I think he does. I think he takes his hand out of the glove and then come back together. Most pitchers, once that hand is in the glove, that's it. It's on the ball the whole time. He actually reaches in during his delivery. Gets the ball. And wants to regrip. Three and two. Make sure you stay with us. The WGN News immediately follows our ball game. He walked him. This has just been a clinic tonight put on by this offense. Reds pitchers have had no breathing room.
Yeah, it's a combination of great at bats by Cub hitters and poor execution by the Reds pitchers. And you think about old video you've seen of old-timey pitchers with that big windmill windup, and they almost always have the ball in their hand.
So Yoenis Cespedes trying to win the game. 2 on, 2 down, 9th inning. Ender Inciarte stole it away. Wow.
Yeah, well, he's one of the better outfielders in the league. You can really go get him.
That was a game-saving, game-ending catch for Inciarte.
Imagine just how the Mets and the Met fans were rising and falling with that play.
Oh, man. Off of third, it's Suarez. Visit the Cubs Authentics auction page every week for your chance to own one-of-a-kind Cubs items. This week's auction includes items from this past Friday's NL Central Championship celebration game. Go to Cubs.com/authentics before this Sunday night at 8 p.m. to place your bid. The Cubs will donate net proceeds from the sale of Cubs Authentics items to Cubs charities. Ground ball to Phillips. He will retire Hayward. Chris Bryant, a booming 2-run homer. He's got 99 RBIs on the year, and the Cubs lead big. Grounded left. Hector Rondon will pitch.
Will pitch for the 50th time this year. He's 2-3 with a 2.45 ERA. League bats 195 against Hector. And check out the strikeout walk numbers. 55 punch outs against only 6 walks.
Here's Bryant. 3 hits last night. Home run tonight. And it's Cabrera. His first plate appearance called strike. Montgomery is getting loose in the Cubs bullpen. Well, Joe wanted to get him out there in the bullpen at some point this week, and why not tonight? Pedro Strop scheduled back on Friday. So the Cubs, you know, they have a few things to check off their list before the regular season ends, and getting Pedro back and doing what he does late in ball games is right at the top of that list.
Yeah, I want to see him out there 3 or 4 times at least. Get him back into the flow of the season.
Cabrera toppled. And I guess it hit him. As we continue to look through the Cubs system. Carolina League champs, 2nd in a row. As the Myrtle Beach Pelicans took home the Mills Cup. Beat Lynchburg 3-1. LCL Ballagert. We got a pretty good look at him in spring training. Trevor Clifton, Carolina League Pitcher of the Year. Cubs System Pitcher of the Year. David Bodie, first baseman, playoff MVP. Hit .577, 15 out of 26 in 7 games to help the Pelicans win the title.
15 home runs. That's a big number in Class A ball.
And congrats to Buddy Bailey, longtime manager in the Cubs system. He was the skipper of the Pelicans. Peraza lines out. One out here in the Reds' 8th.
Here's a fun one from this date in baseball history. 1934, the Dean brothers pitching for St. Louis against the Dodgers. Dizzy takes a no-hitter into the 8th, shuts them out on 2 or 3 hits. Brother Paul no-hits them in the nightcap.
Wow. Bounce to third. Bryant to Zobrist. Relay throw. In time. They go around the horn 5-4-3. Brian Price wants to make sure the call was correct at first.
Tricky little hop. Well, played by Bryant. Good feed to second base.
Price coming out to talk with Bill Welke. Cubs double play replay brought to you by State Farm. Combine your car, and home insurance with State Farm and Save. Find an agent at statefarm.com. Are they checking to make sure Zobrist was on the base? I think he was. Ooh.
Yeah, I think they're challenging the play at first base. But it's 9-2 and you got a day off tomorrow, Brian. You might as well just take it to the house. So anyway, Dizzy Dean, after his brother Paul throws no-hitter, was quoted after the game saying, if I'd known Paul was going to throw one, I'd have throwed one myself.
Throwed?
Throwed.
Calls at first base as bang plays are just so tough to call. We get a slow-mo look at it on replay and we're not even sure. We've said this before. One option is not, I have no idea, let's do it over again. It's either safe or out. That's it. I'm going with out.
I'm going with whatever was called on the field. There's not enough there to overturn it. And out was the call and move on. John Lackey tonight, 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs. They were earned, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, ERA of 3.39. Bogus. Here comes Joe. Pitching change.
So he wants Montgomery to face Botto. And we'll be right back. Playoff team. The South Bend Cubs had a terrific year. You see 84-55 in the regular season. Won the Eastern Division first half championship. They knocked out of the first round by West Michigan, but what a year for Eloy Jimenez, Midwest League most valuable player and prospect of the year. Jimmy Gonzalez named Midwest League manager of the year. Right-hander Preston Morrison named to the league's postseason team. 2.24 ERA. Pretty sure the South Bend Cubs set a new attendance record as well. Here's Mike Montgomery, 2-0 on Joey Votto. Runner at first, 2 outs. And a drive into the left field corner. It's twisting out of play.
Joe Madden intrigued by the look of Mike Montgomery coming in against some tough left-handed batters, potentially in a postseason series. Mike, who was shifted into the rotation for a time, was effective as a Cub. He's pitched 12 times, 5 times as a starter, with a 3.27 ERA. Happy 9th birthday. Happy first day at Wrigley.
Joey Votto currently 12th on the all-time on-base percentage list, 424. And a bunch of Hall of Famers ahead of him and behind him. Williams, Ruth, McGraw, Billy Hamilton, the other Billy Hamilton, Gehrig, Bonds, Bill Joyce, Hornsby, Cobb, Fox, Speaker. And then Joey Votto, he's ahead of Eddie Collins. He's ahead of Stan Musial, ahead of Mel Ott. Montgomery can't get it. Baez does, and he'll force Suarez at first to end the inning. All Cubs tonight.
Great 8 stat of the game. Cincinnati Reds have allowed 244 home runs, most in a single season in Major League Baseball history. Those home runs have traveled 97,346 feet and more than 18 miles. How about that? That's a lot of damage. Brought to you by Mattress Firm, where we want you to sleep happy, guaranteed. Remember, if it's over 8, it's time to replace.
Chicago area native Tony Cingrani.
Tony's 2-5 with a 4.27 ERA. He's got 17 saves, now serving as the Reds closer.
Haven't had any games to close in this series, so he's working here in the 8th down big.
Pitchers tonight have allowed 14 hits, 9 runs, 5 walks, a couple of home runs, a balk.
Votto's out. Ivan De Jesus Jr. is in. Super utility man. You know, it's funny I say that. When did we go from utility to super utility? What makes you super? Is it a number of positions?
Or you're really good at it?
Right. We need a ruling on this. Baez. How would you categorize him? It's a super utility, right?
I don't know what the threshold is.
Is it up to us to define?
I don't want that responsibility.
The super part of that phrase?
Well, where did that creep into the vernacular? Maybe just a utility player.
Infield and outfield. That'll get in there. Baez has his third hit.
I think we should get rid of the super and just go back to utility.
Okay. I second that, so I think now we can set it up for a vote of the board.
Yeah.
And I think if you use the word super in there, it has to be he is a super utility player. Swing and a miss.
Cingrani kind of slings it up there with a low 3/4 arm slot. Good hop on his four-seam fastball.
That one got away and it skips out of play. Players of the game brought to you by Bona. Bonafide players tonight: Montero, Zobrist, Lackey. And we could have added a few more guys to that list. Wrap your hands around the official Italian beef of the Chicago Cubs at one of the 19 Bona locations. Towering fly deep center. It's playable for Schebler. Baez tagging, and he'll get to third. Just to finish our super utility conversation, I always took it to mean a guy who plays like everywhere.
Gary Pressey is a super utility player.
Utility organist. Montgomery taking the at bat. Somebody take the toy away from JD.
It is so much fun. Gary's got a bad. He's going to have to go on the DL. He's got a broken arm here. He said his arm moved. It moves because you broke it.
I didn't break it.
I'm telling Mom.
How do you break a car seat? It's impossible. 2 down. Here's Almora Jr.
Did a nice job when he was up earlier in the year. Hasn't had many chances since coming up in September.
And this will end the inning. We go to the ninth. 9-2 Cubs. 54-22 and the Northwest League champions. Left-hander Manuel Rondon. Terrific. First outright championship for the M's since 1975. One strike to Adam Duvall. Whipped into left in front of Almora. Brandon Phillips trying to extend his hitting streak to 11.
0 for 3, all 3 times on the ground. 1 to third, 2 to the mound.
Oh and 1.
We've all hit the first hit for the Reds since the 3rd inning.
Hayward on the move, calling off Fowler's got him. 1 out here in the Reds' 9th. Throw back to first. And Duvall reaches base safely. Lefty-lefty matchup outside for ball 1. You know what I don't know the answer to? And maybe you don't. What were your career splits? Were you appreciably better against lefties than righties?
No. No, I was more of a reverse guy.
Okay.
I had a pretty good changeup. And batting average against for right-handed hitters. And then again, most of the left-handed hitters I faced were the really good ones. You know, so sometimes those splits can be a little misleading.
See if they can turn it here. They'll get one and that's it. Zobrist to Baez.
Sometimes we'll point out, well, this guy, you know, for a lefty, he's not very good against left-handed hitters. But then when you look, you know, what are the quality of the hitters he's facing? And you know, back in the day, for me, it was usually Gwynn and Keith Hernandez and guys like that. Mark Grace, they just wear you out. Nobody could get those guys out. I know I couldn't. Not with any regularity.
Joe Smith will try to get the final out tonight.
out to get 52nd appearance on the year for Smith with the Angels and the Cubs combined. He is 2-5 with a 3.62 earned run average. He's a sidewinder. All these fans, they love a sidewinder.
40,434 here at Wrigley Field.
Make a living down there.
Saw Joe make a couple of pitching changes in the middle of the year he probably would not have made. Trying to get guys like Montgomery and Smith some time tonight in spots. Might see them later as he strikes out Selski. Cubs win. Cubs sweep 9-2 the final tonight.
Well, not a very dramatic ball game, but an impressive show by the Cubs, both on the mound with John Lackey's work and his relentless lineup. Putting a beat down on the Reds pitchers here tonight. 15 hits, 9 runs, a couple of home runs, a bunch of walks.
So magic number for home field advantage throughout the National League playoffs down to 2. Nationals beat the Marlins tonight. But the number goes down 1 because of the Cubs' 9-2 win. They're 97-55. Season best 42 over 500. And they need to just win 3 out of the last 10 to win 100.